What's the most unexpected thing a veteran taught you outside the military? Master Sergeant Curtis Holton was the toughest guy I'd ever served under. 25 years in the Marines, 3 combat deployments, arms like tree trunks, and a voice that could stop traffic. This man had personally trained over 2,000 recruits and never showed emotion about anything. When I got out and moved back to my hometown, I took a construction job to pay the bills, while figuring out my next move. First day on site, guess who's running the crew? Holton, wearing a hard hat instead of dress blues, but still commanding respect from every worker. Well, look what the Corps dragged in, he said with that familiar growl. Hope civilian life hasn't made you soft. The job was demolishing an old elementary school to make way for a shopping center. Hot, dirty work that reminded me why I'd loved being a Marine. Clear objectives, teamwork, getting things done. 3 weeks in, we hit a problem. The building had asbestos insulation that wasn't on the original blueprints. Work stopped completely while they figured out safe removal procedures. That's when I discovered Holton's secret. During lunch break, I found him sitting alone in his truck, windows down, complete silence. Thought maybe he was taking a phone call or reviewing paperwork. Instead, he was knitting. Not just knitting, but working on an incredibly detailed baby blanket with tiny yellow ducklings around the border. His massive hands moved the needles with surprising precision. Face completely relaxed for the first time since I'd known him. "Sergeant, what are you doing?" He looked up without any embarrassment. "Learning patience." Turns out Holton had started knitting during his 3rd deployment to Afghanistan. Base got hit by mortars regularly, leaving everyone on edge constantly. Medics suggested he find something calming to do during downtime. "First project took me 6 months, he explained, showing me a simple scarf. Dropped more stitches than rounds we took, but something about the repetition, the focus, kept my hands from shaking. I stared at this man who terrified me for years, calmly discussing yarn patterns like he'd analyze battle tactics. "You wanna learn?" I almost laughed. "Knitting? That's not really my thing, Sergeant." His expression got serious. "Son, you've been out 8 months and you're still jumping every time a truck backfires. When's the last time you slept through the night?" He was right. Civilian transition wasn't going smoothly. Nightmares, anxiety, that constant feeling of being on edge. Nothing helped. 15 minutes every day, Holton said. "That's all I'm asking." Next day, he brought extra needles and basic yarn, taught me simple stitches during break times. My first attempts looked like crime scenes, dropped stitches everywhere, tension completely wrong. But something strange happened. Focusing on each stitch, counting rows, following patterns required complete concentration. For those 15 minutes, my brain couldn't think about anything else. The repetitive motion became meditative. Hands stayed busy, while mind settled down. First time in months, I felt actually calm. 2 months later, I'd finished my first project. Just a basic hat, nothing fancy, but I'd made something useful with my own hands. "Not bad for a jarhead," Holton said, examining my work. "Your tension's getting consistent." That's when he told me the real story. Holton had been struggling with severe PTSD after his last deployment. Anger management issues, relationship problems, drinking too much. Traditional therapy wasn't working. "Knitting saved my marriage," he said quietly. "Gave me something positive to focus on instead of replaying combat situations." Wife couldn't believe the change. He'd been making blankets for military families dealing with deployment stress, baby clothes for new parents, scarves for homeless veterans. Never told anyone because he thought they'd laugh. "Toughest Marines I knew carry teddy bears in their packs," he continued. "Comfort comes in different forms. Nothing wrong with admitting you need it." I kept knitting after that job ended. Advanced to sweaters. Even tried some complex cable patterns. Friends thought it was weird at first, then started asking me to make things. 5 years later, I teach knitting classes at the local VA hospital. Help other veterans discover what Holton taught me. That healing doesn't always look the way you expect. The tough-as-nails Marine who'd once made grown men cry during training had given me the gentlest gift possible. The ability to find peace in simple, repetitive motion. Last month, Holton's daughter had her first baby. I spent 3 weeks making a blanket with tiny yellow ducklings around the border, just like the one I'd seen him working on years ago. When I delivered it, his eyes got misty. "Perfect tension," he said, examining every stitch. "You learned well." Turns out the most unexpected lesson from the toughest veteran I knew wasn't about combat or leadership or pushing through pain. It was about slowing down, breathing deeply, and finding calm in the simple act of creating something beautiful with your hands.